How to start using Confluent Kafka. The easiest way would be is to use Docker Compose. So what Confluent has done is that they have provided a Confluent Compose file, which we're going to clone it from the Git. So go to this URL. If you can't, that's okay. You just look at the comment section, the description section. I will leave this as a URL. So the first command is that you run the git clone, get into the cd example folder, check out the specific tag, and then go into the cp-all-in-1-community folder, and after that you just run this command and the docker compose of the build. So let's have a look at that in practice. So I've already downloaded the cp all-in-one. Instead of community, I have just used the another one, so you can also use the same. So all we have to do is here now is, because I already got the Docker Compose file. As you can see here, there's a Docker Compose file. So let's have a quick look at what it's inside. So you can see that has got all the services, and basically it has a collection of the Dockers. So one is the Zookeeper Docker, the broker, the schema registry, the connect center, KSQL server, SQL CLI, and SQL data generator, and the last is the REST API proxy for the Kafka. So it has got all the information, like dependent on which, and then the port number that's going to use, and so on. So we're just going to exit from the YAML file, and now we're going to run this command. As you can see, this docker compose update build. So it's going to just use the docker compose.yaml file in the current working directory, which is cp-all-in.1, and that YAML file we downloaded from the GitHub that we just saw here. So once that's done, it's basically, because my dockers are already running, so it just gives me the up-to-date information that it's all good to go. Once that is running, it takes a while for the first time, because it's going to download all your Docker images and it's going to run it. But since I already downloaded all my Dockers images, so it just ran through very quickly. Now, the interesting thing, the first thing that we need to do is that let's have a look at that through Docker PS. It will just list down all the Docker's containers that is running. So you can see that the first one, so let's have a look at here, what all the Docker components are running. So you can see it has got SQL diagram, SQL client, and it also tells you the status of it. So the most interesting one that we are after is the control center. Control center is the one which we're gonna open it as an UI to maintain the cluster, and the cluster contains brokers. So let's browse to localhost 9021. So where this 9021 came through is this. So if you go into control center, you can see that the port for the Docker is 9021. So let's wait for the response. Control center. So you can see that there's only one cluster, and basically cluster means it's the collection of brokers. So in the inside of the cluster, I'm running only the one broker. If you remember, in the YAML file, it was only defined as one broker. So obviously you will just find and get only one broker. So let's wait for the response here. It's taking a while. Looks like my machine is completely occupied with the Docker magic. So you can see this, there's one total number of brokers active of one. So if you click on the broker number, it just tells you the available active Zookeeper. These are just the stats information. So let's go inside of the topics. Now inside of the topic, I just created one topic called employees topic, just as an example. So let's go inside of it. So this is the status. It's going to tell you about from the production perspective. This is about the consumer perspective, and so on. So let's go back again from the topic. If I click on the messages, it's going to tell you in a real-time messages when it is coming through. So that's where you can say if you really want to track down all the messages is coming. So it's kind of a temporary reader to the messages or consumer to the messages for this topic. Now, important point is here is the schema. So when I created this topic, I can relate and define the schema for the topic. Now, this is the exceptional feature of the Confluent Kafka. You don't get into a vanilla Kafka. So you can see there it tells you that, okay, it is expecting a type of record which has a name of employee, and the name says and so on regarding the fields, that what kind of field it is, whether it's mandatory, whether it's type is it, whether it's enum, and so on. You can maintain this different schema versions and so on. You can also edit schema if you want to. Similarly with the key, which is most of the time is a string, so you will not find any message schema defined for that. If you want to see the configuration regarding the topic, like what's the retention policy is, what is the maximum message byte is, and so on. So that's where you can actually configure and manage your topic. There are other things that cluster controller center can give you is that to manage your connects. Connects is something like source and sink, where you import and export data into Kafka and out from Kafka directly into any external service. For example, maybe Apache Spark. So data is coming through to Oracle, so you will use Golden Gate as a source, and then Kafka Spark as output that is sink. Um, Similarly with the KSQL, we'll go into more detail in the KSQL what it is, but for now just understand that it's something like a SQL commands that you run against your stream, and you may create a stream, or you may create a table to perform some queries like we do it in a relational database. Consumers is more about how many consumers that you have it that's listening to one or two or any topic. So I have one group, and inside of one group of consumer can have multiple consumers. It clearly says that what's the consumer ID is, which partition they are engaged with, and where like in here it says that it has already it's behind messages 630. That means that their total messages were 30, current offset is 30. That means that it has not ran through rest of the 30 messages, so the consumer is probably dead, or maybe it's still not running. So you can set those kind of alerts that if it happens, what happens that if the employee consumer is not available, so you can set the alert. So there are a lot of features around that. What you can do in case if the consumer is lagging behind by 60 per second, so on. So these are the triggers that it basically tells you what to do if one of the consumer is not behaving um, as expected. So this is mainly for the people, purely for the from the things from the DevOps team. So that's the main area that they will be looking at. And the last in the list is that where the cluster is running and what's the host broker name and so on. So if you have multiple brokers, you can set those brokers here. But for now, this is completely a Docker Compose that we have used it from Confluent. So um, it's a wonderful way to start because it gives you everything that you need, all the 5 or 6 components that Confluent Kafka needs it to run it, and that's how you configure the same in your machine. So very simple, very simple step